Okay, hello everyone. We are going to start our lab today, and I am going to share my content page with you all. In fact, I'm going to share my okay. So I am going to share with you all the handout first. Okay, so in the handout, today we are going to finish up upper limb, and we will be doing the hand. Now in the hand, we are going to do carpals, and in the carpals, we are going to do all of the 8 bones. Then we will do metacarpals. Notice they are numbered in Roman numerals, so you do not do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is wrong. You are going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 is always your pinky, and number 1 is always your thumb. On each bone in the metacarpal, we are going to do it as head, shaft, and base. Then there are phalanges. Phalanges are also going to be labeled as per digit, 1 through 5. Now, all the digits have 3 phalanges in it except for thumb. Thumb is the only one that has 2 phalanges. The rest of them have 3 phalanges. So we are going to learn them as proximal, distal, and middle phalanx. And that would be the hand. We are also doing today ulna. In the ulna, we are going to look at olecranon process, trochlear notch, which is also called semilunar notch. So you can write either or on your exam. It will be considered correct, semilunar notch or trochlear notch. Then there is coronoid process, ulnar tuberosity, radial notch. Now notice, this structure is called radial notch, but it is ulna. So don't get confused, because we saw the same situation on radius where we studied ulnar notch. So it is confusing, but don't get confused. Radius has the ulnar notch and ulna has the radial notch. Okay, so just make a note of this. Then there is styloid process and head. Another important thing about head, this is the only bone where the head is at the bottom. In every bone, the head is at the top. This is the only bone where the head is going to be at the bottom. Okay. So besides this, we are also going to do foot today, because foot and hand has a lot of stuff in common. So I think that would be good to do the two together. So tarsals, again, you can, oh, there are not 8 tarsals. There are, there are 7 tarsals, not 8. So that handout is incorrect. Make sure you correct it over there. Tarsals have 7 bones. Carpals have 8 bones. What are the 7 bones? There is talus, calcaneus, navicular, medial cuneiform, intermediate cuneiform, and lateral cuneiform and cuboid. And that makes it 7. Trochlea, that is not a bone, that is surface. Trochlea is part of the talus. Okay, it's not a bone. Talus is the bone. Metatarsals, the same thing. You label it as numbers 1 through 5. So number 1 is basically your big toe. And number 5 is your little toe. We are going to study the same parts, head, shaft, and base, like we did in the carpals. Phalanges, yes, there are 14. Big toe is the only one that has 2 phalanges. Every other toe or all the toes, they have 3 phalanges except for the big toe, just like the thumb has 2, big toe has 2. And then we are going to study phalanges as distal phalanx, middle phalanx, proximal phalanx. And that is all we are going to do today. So, okay. So now let's start with our handout. So we are on ulna. Okay. So let's look at ulna. Ulna is the medial bone, and it is present behind your pinky. So can you see my little, Oh, because it's white, that's why. Okay. Okay, so this right here is ulna that you are looking at, and it is called ulna because it is shaped like a U. If you look at it, it's shaped like a U. Radius is called radius because it has a circle up top. Ulna also looks like a wrench. Now, you see this big process? This is your olecranon process. So this right here is your olecranon process. And this right here is your coronoid process. So coronoid process, and then you have the olecranon process right here. Now, you see this protruding part right here, this is your ulnar tuberosity. Remember, we did it in radius as well. And the radius has right here radial tuberosity, ulnar has ulnar tuberosity. So there is a lot of overlapping of terms in the two bones. Another overlapping term is the styloid process. You see this right here at the bottom of the bone, that is your styloid. That is your styloid process. I mentioned head is at the bottom. So this part right here, this is the head. And then we talked about radial notch on ulna. Okay. This right here is your olecranon process. This right here is your coronoid process. This is your ulnar tuberosity right here. And then you can see this notch right here, which is concavity, and that is your trochlear notch. This is at the proximal end of the ulna. Ulna is called ulna because it's shaped like a U because of the trochlear notch. The next is your lower end. And at the lower end, you can see this is the styloid process, and this is the head. This is the head of ulna. And let me show you right here in this. This is the head. We talked about it, and this is the styloid process right here. So that is all we are going to do in ulna. I am going to share my camera, and hopefully this is going to be a little better than last one. So let's see. Oh yes, that looks better. Share camera. Okay, I think we got it. I'm just going to raise this a little bit. Okay, so we are on the ulna, and here is the ulna. Ulna is called ulna because of the U shape. This chunky part right here, this is your olecranon process. This is your coronoid process. I think this, I don't know why I'm in the background, but just a sec. I need to figure out. Okay, that's better. So this right here is your ulnar notch. And look at it. It looks like a little wrench, and it also has a U in here, right? U shape, that is why it's called ulna. This part that you are looking at, that is your coronoid process. This is olecranon process up top, the big chunky one. This is what makes your elbow. This protruding part, this is made by this olecranon. Okay. Then we have right here, you see this protuberance. This is your ulnar tuberosity. Now, right here, I said the head is at the bottom. You see this right here, this is the head. And this is styloid process, and that is your ulna. Now we are going to look at what side bone is this. Oh, we did not do the radial notch. So radial notch is going to be present. Sorry, not radial notch. Oh, it is radial notch. Okay. So this right here, the flat surface, that is the radial notch. Okay. And this is where radius is going to go, right here. Okay. In the radial notch on the ulna. And that is all for ulna. Now, ulna, what side bone is that? Keep in mind, the notch has to face forwards. This is a medial bone. Styloid process has to be the most medial part. Ulnar notch needs to be lateral to articulate with your radius. Now keep in mind, since this is a video, the image is flipped. Okay, so it is a virtual image you are looking at. It should be the other side, but anyhow, okay. So now you can place it on your arm. You can place it on your arm. It should be near the pinky. Okay. And the styloid process should be the medial most. And your ulnar notch should be facing forwards. I'm still trying to figure out the camera. It's kind of confusing. But maybe I need to stand up. Okay, that's better. So when you face this forwards like this, notch is forwards, and your styloid process is most medial, head is at the bottom, and the radial notch on the ulna, this one, should be lateral. Then that tells you this is my left ulna. Okay, so this bone is my left ulna. Now this right here is radius. I am just going to quickly go over all the bones because the recording was horrible in the other one. This is head, this is neck. This right here is your radial tuberosity. This right here is your ulnar notch on the radius, and ulna head is going to articulate right here. This also has styloid process. Next to the styloid process on the undersurface, you see this triangular. That is your scaphoid facet or scaphoid fossa. This rectangular one is lunate facet or facet for lunate. And that's your radius. Now, what side radius is this? This is the bone which should be right behind your thumb. which means it's a lateral bone. And also, smooth surface should be facing anterior, bumpy surface should be facing posterior. So smooth surface anterior, okay, smooth surface anterior, and styloid process needs to be lateral behind the thumb. So when I look at my hand, this is not correct because this is coming on the pinky side. So this has to be my other hand. And now I'm going to try on the other hand and see the smooth surface needs to be anterior. And the styloid process has to be near the thumb. And the head is up top. And your radial tuberosity in front. So this is my right hand or right arm humerus. I'm sorry, right arm radius. Okay, then scapula. Spine side tells you that this is posterior side. Flat side is anterior. This is subscapular fossa. This is spine of scapula. This is supraspinous fossa. This is infraspinous fossa. This is spine of scapula. And this right here is your acromion process. The smaller one is your coracoid process, this one. It is not attached to the spine. This is glenoid cavity or glenoid fossa. This is your superior border. This is your lateral border. This is your medial border. Now, acromioclavicular facet. This is acromion process. Acromion process attached to the spine of the scapula. Do you see this flat surface right here? This flat surface is your acromioclavicular facet that makes the acromioclavicular joint, this right here. And you can see it, it's pretty flat. This is where it is, okay? So you can see it from the front more clearly. From this side of the scapula, you can see it. It is this facet right here. See, this is the facet. So this is your scapula. Now, what side scapula it is? Remember, this is going to be lateral because your arm is hanging here. This is medial. Spine is posterior. So this is going to be my right scapula. And then we have clavicle right here. You can see the clavicle. So in order to know what side, which end is what, you're going to curl your fingers around it. One side is chunky, the other one is flat. This is my flatter end. This is the chunkier end. So this is sternal end, the chunky end. The flatter end is my acromial end. Smoother surface is going to be superior. You can see how smooth it is. And bumpy surface, you can see the bump right here. So bumpy surface and a lot of bumps here is going to be your inferior surface. Also, your convexity next to the sternal end needs to be medial and in front. Okay, so knowing all of that, if I align this bone next to me, this is going to be my left clavicle. So this is my left clavicle because sternal end is next to the sternum. Flat end is near my shoulder, acromial end. You can see the convexity. It is medial and in front, and smooth surfaces on the top. Bumpy surface right here is at the inferior end. So that is how I know this is my left clavicle. Okay, the next is the humerus. Humerus is pretty easy. Head is going to be medial. This is greater trochanter. This is lesser trochanter. In between the two, this right here is intertrochanteric groove. You see all these holes? These are nutrient foramen, and they are present in the shaft as well. You see this part sticking out in the humerus? It sticks out somewhere in the middle. Okay, and you can see it sticking out right here. This is called deltoid tuberosity, and deltoid muscle attaches here. Now, among these, at the distal end, you see this is flatter. This is really sticking out. The one sticking out is your medial epicondyle, and this one is lateral epicondyle. This is trochlea. This is trochlea, and this is trochlea. This rounded part is capitulum. And this, on top of the trochlea, this is coronoid fossa. So your coronoid process of the ulna basically fits in here. See that? Coronoid process of the ulna fits into the coronoid fossa of the humerus. And then on the back side of humerus, there is olecranon fossa. Olecranon fossa is always posterior, and it is posterior because your olecranon process of the ulna, which is this one. See how this olecranon process is going to fit right here. See that? And it is deeper so that when you extend your arm, the olecranon fossa holds the olecranon process of ulna. So that is how basically the movement happens. And this is what makes your elbow that protrudes out. Okay, so knowing all that, now we can figure out which side humerus is this. This is going to be posterior, facing back. Head is going to be medial. This is your greater tubercle, is going to be laterally present. This is medial epicondyle. So now if I put it on my left arm, so now you can see the head is medial. This is going to be the medial, this is going to be the medial epicondyle, and olecranon is present posteriorly. So this is my left humerus. And that is how basically you can kind of figure out and rule out all of your bones. I also wanted to show you the shoulder joint. So this is your shoulder joint, head of humerus going into the glenoid fossa or glenoid cavity of the scapula. The flat surface rests on the ribs. And then you have acromioclavicular joint, and I wanted to show you that as well. Oh, and they are not the same sides. Oh, never mind. So, okay, the next thing is the hand. So now we are going to look at the hand, and then I'm going to show you that on the PowerPoint as well. Now, this is the wrist. This is what makes the wrist. Not this, this is a bead holding everything together, and this is also a bead. But this entire thing is your wrist. These are the palms. These metacarpals, they will make the palm, and these are phalanges, which make the fingers. Notice each one has three. 1, 2, 3. All of them. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thumb is the only one that has two phalanges. Okay. Now, how do I remember which part is what? So let's see. I am going to start out with the distal row. I'm sorry, with the proximal row. And remember we did scaphoid facet. Remember this? On the end of the radius, there is scaphoid facet. So this is your scaphoid bone. And this is how your radius is going to articulate with the scaphoid right here. Well, this is in the way, and I do not like this. But oh well. So scaphoid is going to articulate with the scaphoid facet. And then this one right here is the lunate, and lunate is going to articulate with the lunate facet right here. So again, this is your scaphoid. Next to it is your lunate, this one. Next to the lunate is triquetrum, this one. And triquetrum on the other side, from the palm side, you can see has pisiform right here. So this is pisiform bone. So scaphoid, lunate, triquetrum, and pisiform right here. This is pisiform. Now, the distal row is this one. And we are going to start out again from the thumb, just like we did in the proximal row. We started from the thumb, scaphoid, and then we worked our way towards the pinky. We are going to do the same thing, start out from the thumb and work our way towards pinky. So this is trapezoid right here. This one is next to it, next to trapezoid, this one that I am touching, trapezoid. Next to it, this one. This is trapezium. Trapezoid. This is trapezoid. And next to it is right here. This is trapezium. Then this big one right here, this is your capitate. And then next to capitate, this bone right here, that is your hamate. Oopsie, I went the wrong way. Okay, so this is from the thumb side. This is your trapezoid. This is trapezium. This is capitate. And hamate is right here, this bone. This bone is hamate. And when you look at it from the other side, hamate has a hook. I don't know if you are able to see. You see this? This thing, this is the hook, hamate. And it kind of sticks out a little bit. You can see right here. This is the hook. Okay, so that is the hand. I am going to vanish myself now, and we are going to look at the PowerPoint. Okay, so here when we are looking at the PowerPoint, let me show you the hand. Okay, this is your proximal row. This is your distal row. In the proximal row, the first one is your scaphoid. Right here, this is scaphoid. Next to it is lunate. Then there is triquetrum, and then the pisiform right here. That is your proximal row. Your distal row is trapezoid, trapezium, capitate, and then hamate. And that is your distal row. Now, how can you remember it? And remember, we are starting from the thumb and moving towards the pinky. In both cases, we are starting from the thumb and moving towards the pinky. So how can you remember that? For the proximal row, SLTP, which means she looks too pretty. Okay, so you can remember it. She looks too pretty. That is one row. And your distal row is going to be, again, starting from your thumb to the pinky. It will be try to catch her. So you can remember it that way. Now, these carpals make your wrist. Metacarpals, they make your palm. And you name them as Roman numeral, not like 1, 2, 3. That is wrong. You do it 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Here you are going to see head. And then there was head, base, and what was the other part? Let me go back to the hand. Shaft. Okay. So you have shaft, head, and the base. That is for metacarpals. For phalanges, you only need to know this is proximal phalanx, this is middle phalanx, and this is your distal phalanx. All of the fingers, they have 3, except for the thumb, which only has 2 phalanges. And that is all for the hand. Now let's look at the foot. Foot is pretty easy because it's a repetition of whatever we did right now for the hand. So let's start out with the phalanges first. Again, all the toes. So this is your big toe, which is Roman numeral 1. Then this is 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5. Your little toe is 5. Proximal phalanx and distal phalanx. However, the other digits have proximal, distal, and the middle phalanx. So it has 3. Those will make your digits. Then you have metatarsals. Now notice in the hand we called it carpal. In the hand, in the foot, this is the hand, and in the foot we call it tarsals. Tarsal comes from the word tarsus, which means ankle. Carpal comes from the word carpus, which means wrist. And these are Latin words. Okay, so here we have metatarsals, and they are also going to be numbered as Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Your big toe is always number 1. You are going to do the same parts here as well. Head, base, which is flat, and of course the shaft. So you are doing the same parts. Now these are tarsals. What you are looking at right now here, these are tarsals. Tarsals are going to be your ankle bones. So let's look at that. This is your calcaneus. This is the biggest bone. Then this is your navicular bone. This one, the biggest one, is your cuboid. And then you have got 3 cuneiforms. Medial. This one is your intermediate. And then this one is your lateral cuneiform. So you have 3 cuneiforms. One cuboid, which is cube shaped. A navicular, which is sandwiched between your cuneiforms and your talus. This bone right here is talus. Calcaneus, this makes the heel of your foot. And this is where your Achilles tendon or the tendon or the tendocalcaneal attaches here, right here to your calcaneus bone. Now, talus is the bone. You see this smooth surface on the top. This is trochlear surface of the talus. Trochlear surface is what articulates with the tibia. This trochlear surface of the talus. So talus is the bone. Trochlea is the structure on this tarsal. Trochlea is the structure, talus is the bone. So this is the bone, talus, and this surface on top of this bone, that is your trochlea. So as you can see, this has 7 bones. 1 calcaneus, 2 talus, 3 navicular, 4 cuboid, and then the 3 cuneiforms, medial, intermediate, and lateral. That makes it 7 bones. And And that is pretty much it. I am going to quickly show you on the camera. Okay, so this is your foot, right? This is your calcaneum or calcaneus. This is the biggest bone. Then you have this right here, which is talus, and this smooth surface on the top is the trochlear surface. It's a part of the talus bone. This is talus. This is calcaneus. Okay, so my apology, it was not clear. So I'm going to quickly go over it one more time. This is your calcaneum. This is the biggest bone. This is what makes the heel of your foot, because your foot is like this. So this is the heel, and this is where your calcaneal tendon or the Achilles tendon or your calf muscles tendon attach right here. Now, this is right here your talus. Talus is a bone. However, you see this smooth surface? This smooth surface is your trochlear surface. It is part of talus. It's not a bone, it's part of talus. And I will show you how it articulates as well. So this is your tibia. We are going to do it later, but tibia articulates with the talus this way. Okay, and your basically leg moves, or your foot may move as well. Okay, so that's how it happens. Okay, then you have right here this bone. This is the navicular bone, and this big bone is cuboid, and then you see these three. These are the three cuneiforms. So this is your middle one, in the center one. This is your medial cuneiform. This is intermediate cuneiform, and this is your lateral cuneiform. So those are your cuneiforms, the three cuneiforms: cuboid, then you have navicular, then you have your talus, and then you have calcaneum right here, and this is your foot. These are your metatarsals, not metacarpals, metatarsals. Again, you have the head right here, shaft, and the base. All of these metacarpals are going to have that. Okay, then you have phalanges. You can see every single one of them have three phalanges: proximal, middle, distal. Big toe is the only one that has proximal and distal. It does not have a middle phalanx. So this is your big toe, number 1, and pinky is your number 5. And that is all with the foot. And I am going to stop sharing. What did I stop sharing? And I'm still here. Oh, there. Okay, and that is all we are going to do. I'm going to stop the recording. I hope this is helpful.